Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'm Lee, and in this video you'll see a battle report for the new Apex Legends, the board game. We'll be going through a skirmish with the models included in this box set, and a big thanks to Glass Cannon Unplugged for sponsoring the video and sending me out a prototype of the game. This is an awesome skirmish game. I think if you're a fan of Apex Legends, the video game, you're going to love this. It's great to get it on the tabletop. The models are awesome and the mechanics are really interesting. So in the video, I'll take you through the battle report and do my best to explain the rules as we go along. After you've watched the battle report, you might want to have a look at the components of the box set more closely, and I've done a separate video that goes through the terrain, the characters and the models so you can have an up-close look at them. I look at gameplay in zones and I go through all the cards and tokens you need. But let's get on with the battle report then, and this is the first step where we place the final zone entrance board and take 4 reward tokens and place them randomly on each edge of the board. Then we'll take 4 epic loot tokens and do the same. The teams are divided into red and blue squads. Red will have the initiative, and so we'll put them in the initiative order. We'll move our token to round 1. Then we'll head over to the legend board. Each legend has a board. You can see they've got an armour of 20, that's basic, health of 40, a helmet, body shield and knockdown shield, and the token here as well. They've got their feat cards, ability cards, and they're good to go. Each player now forms a loot pool for their squad, and they'll take 5 weapon cards from the weapon deck, 6 random tokens from the common loot bag, they're the grey ones, then 8 random tokens from the rare loot bag, those are the blue ones. Here you can see the red squad consists of Bangalore and Bloodhound, and now they'll take those 5 weapons and the 14 tokens and they'll have a look through them and see which weapon will match up with each legend the best. Each legend will get 2 weapons, so you'll take 2 weapons each and then discard the 5th weapon. Then you'll take all the loot, the common and the rare loot, and then you'll decide who's going to get that. This is where you'll be looking at the weapon cards to see the optics, the different stocks and the magazines, suppressors, things like that. Everything that's going to give you some extras to your weapon for the most damage effect on the enemy. Then you'll also be looking for things like grenades and extra armour as well. It really goes without saying that Apex Legends, the skirmish board game, is going to be very much like the video game. So if you played the video game, you'll be certainly familiar with the mechanics and how all these different additional items you can add to your weapons work. And so loot is really important in the game. You want to find more so you can increase your weapons. You can also find more weapons on the battlefield and ammo if you want to. But here you can see I'm now assigning all the different components. We've got all the different loot, gear, items, and weapon enhancements. Any armour, I'll replace the basic armour with the upgraded armour token, and then obviously the weapon enhancements go on the weapon card, and anything else will go in the backpack. I did the same for Gibraltar and Wraith, and that's the team they'll be going up against. So Gibraltar and Wraith are blue, and then Bloodhound and Bangalore are in red. Before we start playing, the next step now is to draw 3 feat cards for each legend, and then those are active and can be used within the game. Next step is to take each of the legends and place them on the entrance board, and this will decide what side of the board they're going to come into play. Each side has those tokens that we put on earlier, so there's going to be some extra loot there that you can add to each of the legend boards, and they'll also get some benefits like an extra movement 2 to kick off the battle. Here you can see that Bloodhound has got that extra body armour, so now we can upgrade the body limit to 40. Now we draw a ring movement card, and as you can expect, the ring is going to shrink as the battle goes on. So once we've played out battle round 3, the ring will shrink. We'll take those 4 corner markers, those yellow pieces, and we'll move them further in. But let's start the battle, and first up, Bangalore is going to take the 2 extra movement, then Wraith is going to just wait on the side of the battlefield, and then Bloodhound is also going to do the same. But Gibraltar got those 2 bonus moves as well, so he's going to move on to the battlefield. Okay, let's go. It all kicks off with Gibraltar, who's going to go first. She moves 1 square and then searches a crate. We open up one of the crate cards, and that tells us all the loot that's going to be inside. You can see here's 2 rare, 1 epic, and then she can choose between a weapon or ammo. In this case, she went for the ammo. Then with that upgraded armour, she's replaced her body armour there, so we'll update that on the card. The The weapon has got a better upgrade now. That scope's going to fit in a lot better with the charge rifle, and the flatline has also got a better scope now. So that was a really good find. She does have one extra action point, so she could move or shoot, but decides to stay there and cover that firing line. Next up is Bloodhound, who moves in, does a double move, being able to move 2 squares each time. Then we go on to the blue squad, and now it's the turn of Wraith, who's going to enter the board, make 1 movement and then search the crate. And then we repeat this process of opening up the crate, having a look at the card. It tells us here 2 epics, and she's decided to go for 1 ammo. Then she uses a second action point to move 2 squares and get in a nice position. Gibraltar now does the same, moving 2. Then he's going to open the crate with his second action point and search and see what's inside. And here he's going to find 2 epics and also going to choose ammo. So making the most of the ammo. Now we're on to the transition phase, where we move our round token. We see if anyone's outside of the square to take damage. Then we go through a cooldown period, and now each legend will draw 1 further feat card and add it to their active pile of feat cards. We go back to the round board, move the token onto red, and we begin again. So now we're going into round 2, and this time Bloodhound's going to activate first. He's going to climb, use his movement to get up there, and then spend 1 movement and 1 action then to open up another crate, search it. This is where he's trying to build up that ammo, and he's found some extra rare loot, which is always nice, and that's a really good find. He's got a better energy cell and a scope too, and he's gone for the ammo. He's also going to use Eye of the Allfather. This is a special ability. Now he can place one of his ravens on each enemy legend within 3 squares, and then he gets a benefit to attack. He has to put the marker here because that's going to stay active for 3 turns. It's still Red Squad's activation, so Gibraltar moves into a really nice position, gets some cover, moves again, and then uses an ability so that she can place her smoke launcher, and now she's going to get cover if anyone wants to make a shooting attack. She's also getting cover from that crate as well, so a good tactical move. Now we're back to the round board, and we're going to move the token along to blue, and it's blue's turn to now activate both of the legends. Wraith moves up 1 move and then searches the crate, finds an epic, 2 rare, and chooses to go for ammo. She's also going to use her Dimensional Rift special ability. She can place 1 of her special tokens down, and then she can move, getting a bonus 2 squares of movement, and then she places another Dimensional Rift token. Any legend that enters that square can be transported between the 2. And you can see Gibraltar activates, does exactly that, gets himself in a nice position. They've done a bit of a swap, but he's going to try and get in there and get a good bit of cover, preparing to move up on Bangalore while also being aware of Bloodhound at the top. Now we go back to the transition phase, move to round 3. We don't have to worry about the square, no one's outside, no cooldown period, and each legend will choose 1 more feat card, adding it to their active pile. Now it's back to red, so we're going to activate Bloodhound and Bangalore in any order we want, and now Bloodhound moves up, gets in a really nice position. He's got some cover from that half wall, and look at this, he can see Wraith quite clearly, and if we count the squares, including the one she's in, it's exactly 5, which is perfect for the weapon that Bloodhound's going to choose, which is the Sentinel. We remove 1 ammo token. It tells us we can have 1 aim card, but because of the extended sniper mag, we can take another card. We place them on the tracker, and then we place the first one on 0, second on -5. We need 55 to hit, but -15, so a 40 to hit because of the optics. We're going to do 22 damage, 12 on a headshot, plus 2 damage for the stabilizer. And right away, we've got a headshot, it's 60, so it's well below that 45 we need. It's also a headshot, so that's going to be 22 plus 12 plus 2. This one is 75 minus 5 is 60. That beats the 40. It's another 22 plus 2, so this is a serious amount of damage going on to Wraith. Her shield or body armor can absorb 20 points of damage, and her health gives her 40 points of damage, so this is going to bring her right down. This is such a powerful weapon with all those attachments. It gave everything that Bloodhound needed to take her out, and he didn't even have to use the special power-up ability that the weapon comes with. You can see it's only 24 left, but that second hit did 22 points of damage, plus the extra 2 for the weapon attachment. That's taken her out. Wraith is taken down in 1 shot, 1 kill, or 2 shots, 1 kill, and she is removed from the battlefield, but she's not out of the game yet. She can respawn, which you'll see later on. Anytime a legend's taken out, they pass the token to the legend that took them out, and then you flip that over, and that gives you a victory point. Now, in this mission, each side needs to eliminate the other legends 1 time each, and they'll be the winner right away. Okay, let's get back to the action. Now it's time for Gibraltar to activate. She's moved and decided to get rid of one of her feat cards so she can rush, making 1 extra movement. That puts her in line of sight there of Gibraltar, so he's going to be able to be shot at now. She chooses her weapon, takes an ammo. It tells her she can draw 3 cards. You place them along, starting at 0, and you'll notice the tracker loses points off the to hit value because that signifies recoil, so that's the idea with this. But we check, we need 45, there's going to be a -5, we need 40, but Gibraltar uses this before shoot ability here, so now headshots on aim cards are ignored, and it also prevents 10 points of damage. You can see the first one here is 30, that misses. The second one is 40, but we need to get 40 altogether, but with the -5 it's 35. Headshot doesn't count. 65 counts though, because even that with -10 is 55, so that's a hit. So it's going to be 8 points of damage there going on to Gibraltar. His shield's going to absorb that before the health, as he's got 40 health and 20 on the shield. That's then the end of the activation for the red squad. So we move the slider along, and the token now tells us that we've got some things to do before blue can start. And we've got these little trackers here that are for the smoke and for the ravens. So now we know we need to remove those from the battlefield and place the tokens on the cooldown section of the legends board. And each time we go through the transition phase, we'll move those along 1 point. Now we're on to Gibraltar, who's got a nice clear line of sight there. But he wants to get right up close and make the most of the 1 square range of his weapon. So he gets right there within a square of Gibraltar, and now he's going to shoot. He's also looking up though, because he knows Bloodhound is behind him, and he's a bit shifty, so he's going to make sure he can do some damage to Bloodhound in later rounds. So he chooses his defensive bombardment for a free action, and now you can place this awesome token on the battlefield. And that red dot signifies the square it's going to be placed in, and any of the yellow squares around it correspond to where the bomb is going to explode, and then that'll deal 24 points of damage if anyone's in it. We're still on blue, but we know it's going to be 2 more turns until that explodes. So we place the marker, and then he goes back to shooting, chooses his weapon, removes the ammo. This is a little bit different, the shotgun, because it's got 2 × 2, so you can put 2 aim cards on each aim slot. And here you can see, you don't add them together, but you see what each one does worth of damage. So we need 50, and it's going to be 70 points each. We can also add 2 points of damage. So 7 + 2 is going to be 9, and then another 7 + 2 is another 9, plus the headshot, that's 12, 22. This one misses, so 22 points of damage altogether, and we just change that now, adding it onto, or deducting it I should say, from the shield first, before we deduct it from the health. And that shield's looking pretty strong for Bangalore, so she's going to be able to absorb that. She also can choose to do her reaction, which is an aftershoot, and she can move 1 and use a common consumable. So she decides to move 1, getting away from Gibraltar, and now she's going to choose to use her armor battery pack and power up her armor. That's going to take her back up to 40, so that damage is completely negated now. These cards and choosing when to use them and the items is a big part of the game. But now let's move back to Wraith, because it's Blue Squad's activation still. She uses 1 action to respawn on one of the respawn pods, then uses a free action to gain 1 movement for every 1+ movement action. And that's going to get her to move 3 squares, because she knows that soon the arena's going to close, the wall is going to come in, and she could take damage if she's outside it. So that's really important to get that extra movement. Then we go to the transition phase. We move to this now, which tells us we have to look back at our ring movement card, and then we move the ring, moving that wall in by the amount of squares it tells us to on the card. So you can see here it's going to be across 3 and then down 3 as well. And now all of a sudden the arena's a lot smaller. So if you're outside, you're going to take some damage. It's really important to stay within the ring. Now we need to draw another ring card. We discard that first one. We take another one from the top, and that's going to tell us how the ring is going to move the next time it's activated. And if we go back to the round tracker, we can see when that's going to be. So as we move across, you can see that after round 6, the ring will move again. But we work our way through the transition phase. Moving that, we have a look at this icon. No one's outside the ring, so no damage. We go back to our cooldown period, move down those ability trackers so we know when we can use those again. Then each of our legends can take another feat card, remove any abilities that are in play, such as this one for Wraith, place her token on the cooldown, and then we go again. Remove those tokens off the battlefield as well, just like we did with the smoke. Now it's Red Squad, and Bloodhound has got a very nice angle going down on Gibraltar there, and he's going to count the squares to see how far away he is, and he is going to be close enough to make a shot with the Sentinel. Although it's 5 squares, he can still do it, but there will be a penalty. He's going all in with 2 action points here to spend the shield cell and shoot with more damage. He's got to get 55, but he's still got the minus 15, so he's looking for 40. He's going to be penalised 30 because of the distance. He's got extra 2 to add to the damage of 35 and 25 with a headshot. And he can draw 2 cards because he's got the extended sniper mag. So 1 first and then the extended option as well. Let's see what he's going to get. It's a 70 with a headshot. Remember, he did need to get 60, so he's done that. That does the headshot. It's going to be 35 and 25 and an extra 2. That's going to be a huge amount of damage now going on to Gibraltar. Then he draws the second card. Now, normally a 35 would miss. We know that, even with that minus 5. But this green icon means anyone below him is automatically hit. So that's another 35 plus 2 points of damage. And that's going to be the end for Gibraltar. He doesn't have enough. He's looking at the cards to see what he's got available, but he doesn't have anything he can use after the shot to either use an action, gain health or anything. So all these points are going to be lost, and that's going to be Gibraltar taken out of action, and he's now going to be removed from the battlefield. And that's the victory condition met by the Red Squad, and this is over really quickly. There he goes. He's removed from the battlefield. That was so quick. That sniper rifle was just so effective. The token now goes over and is given to Bloodhound, and that's the end of the game. That's over really quickly. That Sentinel sniper rifle was really powerful. The enhancements just made it even more so, and then getting that position above ground was powerful too. So that was a real good combination, a perfect storm of everything coming together for the Red Squad to take out both of the enemy legends in those few rounds. I've been playing a bunch of games of Apex Legends over the past week, and a big thanks to my friends for coming to help. Thanks to Tom, Ramin, and also to Liam, who came round to play some games and go through the rules with me. So it was a really big help. But in all those games, it went right to the end, to the 9th round, and this one just went really fast. I really thought this would be the same as the other games, go right to the end, and then we'd have to work out. In previous games, it's been a case of one's been killed on each side, and then it's gone down to working out how many wounds are left on in total for each squad, and so that was the way to decide it. But this one, 2 kills within just, 3 or 4 rounds, and that's the end of the game. It's good that this happened, actually, because it shows that it can be very varied. And if you get all these cards in the right order, you get those headshots, you get the position so you can make the most of the guaranteed shot from above by getting that green icon. And then, things can work in your favour. It's also very important to get the right weapon and then the right loot to get those extensions on the weapon. So if you can get all those things to work together, get in a really good position on the battlefield, use your legends to work together and their abilities, and you can do some serious damage pretty quickly. So that just shows how important it is to get every element right, and with all the tactical options available, I think you could have a lot of fun with this game. I was hoping we'd get to use some grenades in the game, but we didn't. But if we did, the little arrows tell you where they go. And then also with Gibraltar, we didn't get to use his dome of protection, and that's a really nice piece that's included in the box set. So that's pretty cool. I'm glad we managed to get the bombardment going on, but Bangalore has also got a really cool ability called Rolling Thunder, and you get this really nice token that you can use, and this piece I painted up as well. But here now you can see the red dot is where you're going to place the icon or the marker, and then you're going to move it along after it's exploded one time so it can explode another time. So this is really great for trying to get control of the battlefield and maybe even push the enemy legends outside of the wall so they take damage one way or the other. We also didn't get to see the wall closing in. It would have come in again and made the arena very small, and this is where movement becomes important. Getting your legends in the right place before the wall moves, because anyone being left outside, as you can see with Bloodhound here, is going to take damage in each transition phase that they're outside of the wall, and that damage can really add up, especially once we start getting into those later rounds, because once you move on to rounds 7, 8 and 9, you can take 15 points of damage just for being outside the wall, and then your enemies can shoot you and things like that. You can also use all the abilities, like the Dimensional Rift, to push people through a rift and out the wall, so that's really fun as well. But yeah, you can see here in the transition phase, that icon matches up and tells you how many points of damage. So 4, 5 and 6, 10 points of damage if you're out of the wall. 7, 8, 9, 15 points. So Bloodhound could have been in trouble there if he wasn't so lucky with his shot. I hope this gave you a good idea about how the game works and you had a good look at the different tokens. There seems to be a lot going on when you first see the tokens, and with all the cards, especially the weapon cards, there's loads of cool weapons, and if you're a player of the game you'll certainly recognise these, as did Liam and Ramin, who came round to play. They recognised the weapons and they really had a good feel for the game. Based on the video game, they could really pick up on how that's been put into the board game and really getting that vibe and seeing how the abilities transfer from the video game to the tabletop. So a really fun game to have a go at. There's some other things we didn't use, like these drop pods. They're going to come into it, but for this prototype and for this demo game, they're not going to be used now. But there's a lot to come for the game. There's loads more figures, loads more models, characters and different abilities that they're going to bring. So tactically, I think there's lots of levels and you could really explore that and play a good number of games with different outcomes like we've seen here. Very fast, or you could go right to the end and then work it out on wounds taken. So a very interesting game, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. I'll put a link in the description down below that will take you to the Apex Legends the board game Kickstarter page. Hit the notify me on launch and then you can follow the campaign, and that'll also give you access to this free Loba expansion if you pick up any of the different levels, and you'll be able to find out more about these different board dioramas, which I think will be a great addition to the game. The team from Glass Cannon Unplugged will be at the UK Games Expo in June. You'll be able to see the game in person, meet the developers who are also behind Frostpunk and Fantasia games, and they're also working on Dying of the Light as well. That's some pretty impressive games in the portfolio there, so it'd be awesome if you could go along and meet them during the expo. This prototype game has been really fun to unbox, get painted up, and have some experience playing the game. It was really cool today to go through and play this and have a quick result. I've played with mixing it up as well. I haven't just used the same ones on each team. This is a different combination. So I think that's going to be very important to decide on which legends you put with each other and how they complement each other. So considering everything else that's involved, there's lots of layers here. If you'd like to watch the video I've made going through all the contents of the box, having a close-up look at those miniatures, the tokens, cards and all the components, then that video's up on the channel already, and I'll put a link at the end of this video so you can go and watch that. If you'd also like to see how I painted these models using some quick and easy contrast paint techniques, then that video's available too. It was really great to paint these. The detail's fantastic. They took contrast paint really well, so if you want to get something painted fast that looks nice on the table, that's a great way to do it. And here's some shots of the models that I painted up. Here you can see Bangalore. I painted the crates in exactly the same way. Just started with a base of primed in black with a Zenithal white highlight and then used the contrast over the top, and I think they come out really well. For the amount of time I put into it, I'm really happy with the result. But that video is going to be at the end of this video, so I'll link to that so you can go and check it out. And you can also paint up these little bombardment tokens as well, and the Rolling Thunder token. That really adds to it. But all up, really nice models, 40mm scale, really fun to paint. But thanks so much to Glass Cannon Unplugged for sponsoring the video and helping me to share this Apex Legends board game with you. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, please hit the like button, subscribe for more videos like this one, and I look forward to seeing you here next time on Tabletop Skirmish Games.